to listen to the Lapped Traffic Podcast.
What is up, Lap Traffic Nation? Welcome to episode 193 of the Lap Traffic Podcast. I am your host, the Professor Brandon Crowd. I hope you all had a fantastic weekend. It was definitely a fun-filled weekend myself. One of the wife's college friends has a cottage on one of the lakes actually by Michigan International Speedway. So the wife headed out there Thursday night. I headed out Friday afternoon. Some lake time, pool time. Got a round of golf in on Saturday with the guys. Needless to say, some of the racing was rewatched on DVR this weekend. I did get the Cup race in on Thursday night, which, how cool was that? Get to that in a minute here. And the second truck race, which was good. So much to talk about coming out of this weekend. I think that can be said about the playoff picture. Yes, we're talking playoff.
Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs?
Listen, Lap Traffic Nation, if you missed last week's show with MIS track president Rick Brenner, Jim Weiss from Firekeepers Casino, Brian Rich from Consumers Energy, and Austin Cindric, you are definitely going to want to go back and check that one out for sure. And I'm so excited. The next 2 weeks coming up, Monday mornings, the next 2 Monday mornings. Make sure you tune in to 92.9 The Ticket, as I will be on with Wayne and the guys to talk about racing from New Hampshire and Michigan, which I am really looking forward to that one. Got a great show lined up for you guys tonight. If you're a longtime NASCAR fan, odds are you have at least one diecast. Maybe from a race you went to, maybe you got 100 of them. Maybe you have some NASCAR diecast questions. NASCAR diecasts are a way of life for a lot of us out there, and I thought it would be an awesome idea to get someone on to talk about NASCAR diecasts. And tonight, Brent from Plan B Sales is going to be on in just a minute here. I'll get your trucks, Xfinity, and Cup recaps from Kansas, social media shout-outs. Aaron will be on to talk about some weather, Lucky Dog lap down picks, and fantasy to close it out. And there is a new segment 2 leader. I have been dethroned after I think 3 or 4 weeks up top of the standings. So we'll find out who that is a little bit later on in the show. Let's get things rolling. Let's get Brent from PlanBSales.com on the line. All right, Lap Traffic Nation, joining me on the line, making his first appearance on the Lap Traffic Podcast, he is the owner of PlanBSales.com, the largest independent distributor of NASCAR diecasts. Welcome to the Lap Traffic Podcast, Brent Powell. Brent, what's going on, man? How are you?
Hey, thanks for having me.
I am so excited to get to talk to you tonight, man. I think we're going to have a lot of fun. Going to answer a lot of questions that I think are out there that the collectors are going to have, and let's have a good time tonight, man.
Okay, let's do it.
Listen, let's start with this. We're depending on where you're at from a listener perspective and all that, we're either still in a quarantine, coming out of a quarantine. Brent, what did you do? Did you pick up a new hobby or anything like that during the last couple months here and all this nonsense?
No, actually, I work from home all the time anyway, so it's just kind of normal for me.
I hear, that was like my wife and I both work from home, and it was kind of just like business as usual. Like, I normally would go into the office one day a week, and she's 100% remote, so it's just like, all right, that's cool. The only thing that bummed me out was like, man, I can't go have like a Friday night happy hour drink at the bar or anything like that. That's what killed me the most.
Yeah, I'm pushing 50, so that's our fun. Is me and my buddies go out to eat in a movie, and haven't been able to do that in a while.
Yeah,
we're getting through.
That's crazy, man. So listen, you've been involved in the sales side of motorsports for a long time. Tell everyone a little bit about your background and what started Plan B Sales.
Yeah, my wife and I had a retail store in Oklahoma, in Tulsa in '99, and then I went to work for a distributor that I was buying from in Dallas. And then once they went dealer direct, I went to work for Action and moved with them to North Carolina. MA took over and all that, and I worked out there for a couple of years. And then they went back to distributors. So I went to work for a distributor there, and then when Lionel took over, they were expanding distributors, so they offered us one, and we've been doing that for almost 10 years now.
That's crazy. talk about, like, have you noticed the fact that social media plays a role? Like, you guys have a large presence on Twitter. If that wasn't the case, would that help the independent distributors? Would it hurt the independent distributors? How has social media played a role in that side of the business?
Yeah, it's just a lot quicker now. Before the rare cars were hard to find. Now they're everywhere because everyone has access to 50 different places to buy from.
Sure.
Prototypes used to be super rare. You had to go to Phoenix to Action's location and buy them there, and then now you can buy them anytime you want, pretty much. So I think that's the main thing. The good thing is not as many stores as there used to be, so now those fans that don't have a store in their area can find a place to get them.
Yeah, no, that's true. And then you throw in like the Facebook groups and all that kind of stuff. You can get a hold of a diecast if you want one, and it's just a matter of what the what the eye of the beholder wants to pay for it, and we can get into that in a little bit here. But I want to really kind of start off with this one. NASCAR diecast. If you're a NASCAR fan, odds are you've got at least one. Whether if you've only been to one race, maybe you picked up that that race win from that race you went to, or if you've got a driver and maybe you collect all certain brands of that driver or a team, whatever. Odds are anyone that's listening to this has at least one diecast out there. Brent, what makes diecast so special to the NASCAR fan in your eyes?
To me, it's just every car is a story. You walk by your collection or whatever, your shelf, and you see that car, and it brings you back to that race or that year. If it's a like Jimmy Johnson's championship or something, you kind of every time you look at it, you relive that moment. And I just, especially like stuff that we've done, cars that we've sponsored and everything. Every time I look at that Justin Allgaier car, I remember back to Loudon when we were up there with Justin and met him, and it's just I think every car is a story.
That's a great way to put that, because I know a lot of my friends entertain the fact that I'm a NASCAR fan. Like they'll come over for the Daytona 500 party that the wife and I throw or whatever, and it's not so much that they're NASCAR fans, but they enjoy a Sunday afternoon and the hype that I put behind it. And there's whether it's a framed picture on the wall or a diecast, like you said, I could, if someone wanted to let me go off for 20 minutes on each car, I could tell you why that car has special meaning to me. So that's a great way to put that. Every car's got a story behind it. That's fantastic. I love that. Brent, talk about, the different avenues. And, we kind of mentioned a minute ago about, like Facebook Marketplace, independent sellers and all that, maybe dumping off their collection or whatever. But, why should fans order through Plan B versus Lionel directly, NASCAR.com, Fanatics.com? What benefits and all that are there with going through you guys?
Well, I just hope people are buying, no matter where they're buying. To me, if they have a local dealer, I would much prefer them buy from their local guy, support their local town or whatever.
Sure.
But we're just there in case they don't have a dealer in their area, so we're their Plan B, pretty much.
Hence the name, right? I love it.
Yeah, exactly. And then the, compared to NASCAR.com or Lionel or whoever, everybody's good at what they do. We're a little more personal because we're smaller. But like I said, as long as they're buying diecast from somewhere, I'm happy.
Absolutely.
And if it's from us, then I'm happy, and I made a little bit of money that day.
Absolutely. What is your most prized diecast in your personal collection?
Probably sitting there looking at it. Probably I've got a set of the Justin Allgaier cars. That was our first full sponsorship, and I think we did liquid color chrome, and standard, and we did autograph and all, and I've got the door number on all of them. So that's probably the set would be my most prized possession.
All right. That's very cool. That's unique. Obviously, you got a story behind all those. Now, can you give me a ballpark figure as to how many diecasts you have in your personal collection?
Oh God, yeah, I don't know. At one time, the cases used to come in. The first case, Lionel kept number 1, and so the first case had car number 2 through 13. And at one time, I said, okay, every case that we get, pull me door or the den number 2, and I'll keep all those. That'll be my little collection, because I didn't think everyone would really want that. And then after I had a closet full, I was like, well, I need to change this a little bit, so I kind of shifted gears a little. Now most of it is mainly the Plan B stuff, and then I've got one autographed car from every time we had a driver come in to sign for us. I had them sign one to me. So
very cool.
That's pretty much. I've got some other stuff just through the years, but
sure,
mainly our stuff, and then like I said, one of each driver that I've met.
Awesome, that's very cool. Brent, for the beginning collector, you just rattled off a couple different types of diecasts that are produced, and that might be overwhelming for someone that may be just getting into collecting NASCAR diecasts. What are the different types of diecasts that are out there? What makes those unique and different? And how would you advise someone to go about selecting, what type of car to get in their collection?
Yeah, well, a lot of it comes down to price. The elites are the most detailed. But a couple of years ago, Lionel switched to where the bodies are the same on ARC cars and the elite cars. The only difference is the ARC, you can't open the trunk, and then there's some interior modifications that are a little bit better, but the bodies sitting on a shelf, they're identical. So it pretty much comes down to whether a guy wants to display it with his hood and trunk open and see all the detail, or if he's like me, I just put them on the shelf. So from a distance, if I have an elite sitting next to an ARC car, you really can't tell the difference. So at that point, for me, I would probably buy the ARC because I can buy 3 of those compared to 2 elites.
Sure.
So, I would go for the quantity versus quality. But, if some people buy both, they buy everything. They want every car made for Chase Elliott and every finish or whatever. So I think a lot of just personal preference, whatever someone wants to spend their money on. And from a distance, they all look the same to me. So.
Sure. And then you've got like the different color paint finishes. You've got the chrome, which kind of have almost like a mirrored look to it. You got your standard finishes. Talk a little bit about the difference in terms of the numbering, because each different style maybe has a different numbering process and all that.
Yeah, the factory in China there's an MOQ, minimum order quantity. Lionel negotiates with them, says this is what we want to pay. China says you have to make this many cars. So at the end of the day, they come down to, for that price, they need to make 500 of the 124th. But of that 500, they can make 100 Elite, 200 ARC, 100 liquid color, and 100 color chrome. As long as the total for 124th is 500, it can be any combination. So that's why a lot of times you'll see us make some color chromes and liquid colors and stuff just to try to get more cars to meet that minimum of 500.
Sure. So, all right. And I'm glad you brought that up in terms of the numbers and all that. So here is my biggest question that I have always wanted to get answered. In a world of instant gratification, why does it take anywhere from 6 to 10 months on a pre-ordered car to get produced and shipped? When, like you said, it's China, it doesn't seem like to me it would take that long to be able to get graphics imaged, all that kind of stuff, and to be able to get it produced there. So what's the thought process in terms of how long a car is available to be purchased through pre-order and the time frame that it takes to actually get to our collections?
Okay. Typically, Lionel will be notified by the team they're going to race this paint scheme, or they raced it last week and Lionel scrambles to get the paint scheme. That takes days, sometimes weeks, to get the artwork ready to go and get a lot of it is licensing. If it's a new sponsor, a new team, like the 02 that we sponsored Daytona was a brand new team. So it took them a long time to get them all the paperwork in so they could actually produce a car for the Hour Motorsports. But once they get the licensing and all that, then they go to the production or the artwork. Once the artwork's all done, then they go to pre-order, and they send that to all the teams and sponsors and distributors and dealers and everybody. Usually they give us 2 weeks to turn our numbers in. once they get our numbers, then they compile them and look and see if they have enough to meet the minimum. And if they do, then they go to production. But then they have to send the artwork to China. China makes a sample prototype and sends it back, and then the teams and owners and drivers and sponsors and everybody approves it based on an actual die cast in their hand. And then, so I mean, we're talking a couple weeks for artwork and numbers to be turned in, and a couple more weeks before they get the sample in their hand. And if there's any changes, then they have to go back and change it, send another sample, or a lot of times they're doing the changes on just an email. And then they set it to production. Even once the car is produced, you've got 4 to 6 weeks on the water just once they ship China before it hits us here. So every little bit adds up.
Fair enough.
I remember back when I worked at Action, they said there was 13 people that had to approve the box art for a Dale Jr. car, and it got to the 13th person, and they didn't like the way his hair looked, so they had to start over and go back through everybody again.
Wow. See,
yeah, just every little bit adds up.
All the sense in the world, right? Because you obviously want, to have everything represented perfectly to make the driver happy, the sponsors happy, the fans happy, So, all right, I am so good with that response and that answer. It's not even funny because, you got to think about it, all right? Obviously, I think one of the things that I've been collecting a lot lately has been race wins of my driver. And so I'm going back, I got a master list of all the race wins that have been produced of Kevin Harvick. So I'm just slowly trying to pick all those off left and right, trying to get those, So when I think about this past week at Kansas, Denny Hamlin winning, all right, obviously that's the new thing, like a race win is going to be produced, So, all right, like you just said, the artwork's got to get submitted and approved and tested, and boom, all right, maybe they don't like where this confetti and how it's located or all that kind of stuff can really just kind of put things back to ground zero, and the production's kind of got to get started over from there. So that is an awesome answer. Thank you for putting that so eloquently, sir. I love that. So let's go with this one next. What goes into determining the number of cars that are produced? I know you mentioned like the MOQ, like there's got to be a certain number of orders that come in first for it to even be a possibility. So that I assume that's kind of like the break-even point. But how long will they let cars in orders come in? Like will they, stop it at 2,500 or and it's always a random number like 2,336 or something like that. What goes into how many extra above the orders that are produced for people that maybe don't just pre-order it?
Yeah, that's kind of, I can't talk of what Lionel does. I'm not 100% sure. I think they gate, if it's a Chase Elliott, they'll probably pad it a little bit more. But like for us, if we have 200 cars sold, we have per driver, we have a number that we're comfortable ordering extra. And that changes from every driver. Some of them we order 100 extra. Some of them we order 10 extra. It just depends.
What goes into determining, obviously the Cup guys, and obviously those Cup guys towards the top in the standings, your Kevin Harvick's, Brad Keselowski's, Denny Hamlin's, those obviously have a higher number of die casts that get produced per paint scheme. And as you kind of trickle down, it might be harder to get that driver, or even if we go into the Xfinity or Truck Series, we don't see nearly as many produced. What goes into determining, from a driver standpoint that maybe isn't as popular or different series in terms of if a die-cast may or may not get produced?
Yeah, it's mainly if Lionel offers it, it just comes up to numbers. If they get 250 orders, then they're not going to make the die-cast of it. If they get 350 to 400, sometimes they'll reach out to us and say, hey, we're a little close, especially if it's a driver that they know we do autographs with.
Okay.
They'll reach out to me and say, hey, we're 100 short on this. I'll go, well, let's do 72 liquid color, and then I'll buy an extra 24 standard just to get the car produced,
Sure.
And that's, like I said, that's why we do a lot of, if you look at the drivers we offer autographs for, most of them are the newer drivers, which a lot of that I did on purpose. They're cheaper when they're in the Xfinity or trucks, and then kind of can help them grow. And like Kyle Larson charges me the same today as he did when I first did his first Clorox car. So he's kind of stuck with us on price, and Ricky standing out. All those guys pretty much did. We
that's cool.
Got with them. They were get them when they're young, and then
Absolutely.
a lot of it we overbuy on their stuff because they're good to us. So I overbuy on Ricky's cars every time just to make sure it meets MOQ. So
gotcha. That's cool. I love that. Look at this, Lap Traffic Nation. We're getting the inside here. Absolutely love it. Brent, what are some of the most sought after cars right now? Whether let's obviously not current pre-orders or anything like that, but if you had to maybe list the top 4 or 5 secondary market diecasts out there that people want. I assume senior cars would be at the top of the list, but mix in a couple other there in terms of some hot aftermarket items.
Oh God, that changes daily pretty much. For this year, there's a Brad car out there, the Snap-on car. It's only available through Snap-on dealers, so it's pretty popular right now. It's hard to get. You have to buy a tool set to get it. And any of those promo type things, as soon as they hit the market, everybody, that's the good thing with social media is before you probably wouldn't have heard about that car as much as you did, but as soon as 2 or 3 people get it and they blast it out on Facebook, then it just spider webs, and everybody's wanting to scramble to try to get themselves one.
Sure.
But a lot of the older stuff, it varies so much. Typically, if we buy a collection or something like that, we end up spending 3 or 4 days looking on eBay to see if, this used to be a $60 car, now it's $200. We wouldn't know that unless we just go looking, because if we haven't had it, we wouldn't be looking for it.
Sure.
So, yeah, a lot of that stuff varies daily.
What do you guys have any hot items on the website now that are getting a lot of activity or anything like that?
Anything Chase does sells like crazy. Like when he won the All-Star race, I got up the next day and was looking at the numbers, and I had to double check, make sure I wasn't looking at a car from 3 months ago because the numbers were so high. But and then we had the same thing when Bubba drove that Black Lives Matter car. It was just flying off the shelves.
Sure.
We were getting 10 orders a minute on that car.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, then I looked at Twitter and realized that he had tweeted to all of his people where to get the car, since we do a lot of stuff with Bubba. He tweeted out, so we had a lot of first-time buyers buying that car. And then when the Weatherman car, the Back to the Blue car came out, it was about the same, but it was more current buyers of ours that were buying that one. But it was flying off pretty good too.
That's incredible. That's so cool. So all right, I am in need of a Kevin Harvick Elvis car, a 2014 Darlington and Homestead wins. And I know they're out there, and it just depends on what I might be willing or somebody else might be willing to pay. How would you advise people to determine if they're getting a good deal on a secondary market car?
The best gauge I can think of is eBay, but you have to look at the ended auction, not the current.
Sure.
A lot of people look and go, well, this is going for $200 on eBay. I'm like, no, it's listed for $200. Look at the ended auctions and you'll kind of see what they're going for. The bad thing is on the cars like you're asking, they don't come up a lot, so you may be 2 or 3 months in between seeing one of those.
Sure. Yeah.
And 2 months ago, there may have been 3 people wanting that car. Now there's only 1 wanting it, so it may not go. Or 3 months ago, it may have ended with only 1 guy really looking at it, and now you're bidding against 2 people. So
one of the things that
eBay's
I've noticed on eBay is that, and this has kind of been like a trend over probably like the last 10 years or so even on eBay is, back in like the early 2000s, eBay was more auction driven versus now it's more buy now driven. So it's kind of hard to tell, not everything's listed on that 7-day auction. It's the 30-day buy now, and then it just gets republished kind of thing. So does that change or impact in terms of determining what an actual fair price might be?
Yeah. A lot of them, if they list it for $500 and then take a best offer of $100, it's kind of hard to know exactly how much the person paid.
Sure.
I think they can hide that on some of them, but the other good thing is you can jump on Facebook group or something and just ask people. Pretty a lot of times people are pretty honest with what stuff's going for or what a fair price would be.
Sure. No, I'm with you there. I've dealt with a few on there, and I've had a lot of positive interactions and transactions, if you will, with some of the Facebook groups and all that out there. Brent, let's get to a couple listener and follower questions here, both from Lab Traffic and Plan B Sales. Michael at Westboro MGM. Will there be a Justin Haley Kaulig Racing diecast for the number 11 leaf filter car?
I hope so. I actually had Justin's dad reach out, or he posted it, so we reached out to him, and we've asked Lionel to make it the Talladega wing car. So I'm hoping they offer it, and Justin's already agreed to sign pretty much as many as I need him to.
That's awesome. Justin's a cool
it's probably
dude.
back in that window.
Times.
Oh, he's a great guy. It's probably back in that window where most of those guys are still working from home on the art department and stuff, so they're probably still in that window where they're a little behind on getting everything ready. But
T-Bone at Terracotta 06. Will the 164 All-Star cars have the lights under the car? That's a good question.
No, they won't. I don't think they're. I've got a guy that's trying to make some of those light fixtures for us, Anthony, so we can offer it to people for like the elites. The elites aren't going to have it either. So we're going to try to make that an add-on item that you can get through us.
Cool.
And I think everything is just too big to fit under a 64th.
Sure. No, I'm with you there. Larry at Speed Pro 1963. How has the pandemic changed the way diecasts are made and sold?
That's a good question. It's pretty much just that slowdown again. Lionel's working from home. Well, a lot of people are working from home, and it just takes longer to get an answer out of anybody. And then for us, for the longest time, they wouldn't let us do windshields for like if we offer an autograph pre-order. Lionel, we tell them how many, they'll get the windshields from China, send it to the driver. Driver will sign it. They send it back, and it gets put in the car when they produce it.
Oh wow, that's how that works.
Yeah, there for about 6 8 weeks they wouldn't allow that. I don't, they didn't have anybody at the warehouse to receive them, and I don't think they wanted to send something from China to a driver at that point. So we missed a few cars there in the middle, but just like I said, it slowed everything down. That's about all, though.
Sure. Mick at Godux42_Mick. Will there be a Larson Plan B sprint car diecast available?
Absolutely.
Excellent.
More than one.
Excellent. I know Mick's a good friend of the show. I know he's going to be very excited about that one. John.
Yeah, actually, I want to expand on that a little bit.
Yeah.
Back when we did the 42 car at Yuma with Larson, and he won. Actually won on my birthday. And then the next year, my brother had just passed away, so we ran a paint scheme and had in memory of my brother on it.
That's so cool.
And he won again at Yuma. Which the funny thing is, I was born in Yuma, and I was born on January 3rd. And he won the first year on my birthday in my hometown. So
wow,
that was really cool. Yeah,
that's really cool.
But we had R&R was going to make the diecast of that second year, and then because Lionel's mold was just worn out, so they didn't want to make anymore. Well, then R&R came up and said they were having trouble with their factory, so we never got that car produced. Well, Lionel's making a mold or redoing their mold, and if it wouldn't have been for the COVID, it would have been done. We'd probably already had cars here. So we're just waiting on him to get everything finalized, and we're going to do that Yuma car, and then we're going to do the car that Kyle drove this year that had us on the wing.
Very cool. All right, I'm going to interject one here because I got two more, but I'm going to ask this one. Do you guys get a lot of requests to do like personal, like someone wants to upload like their own image? For example, like I'd love to get the Lab Traffic logo on a diecast and just have that for my own personal collection. Is it just because it's such, would only be, one or two, for example? Does it just not make it worth it for, companies to offer personalized diecasts?
Yeah, since all this is in China, it's just too hard for them to do anything. And China wants everything they do, they want to get paid for it,
Sure.
for every little part. I know I had a guy that made some GTOs one time, and he was going to make 500 or whatever, and then ended up making like 75, and I think he paid over $100 some a piece to China, and that's not counting any of the royalties or any of that stuff. So
Sure.
You just get down there too much. That's why there's a minimum. China doesn't want to waste their time setting a lineup to do 10 cars when they
Right.
could do the same kind of setup time to do 1,000.
Sure. Yeah, that's fair. John at racing_64. When pre-ordering, and I think you may have answered this, but we'll get it in here specific. When pre-ordering, do special finishes count towards the MOQ of the standards? And how challenging has it been with Lionel seeming to do so many more of those?
Yeah, that's the main reason they are doing the more finishes is to meet the minimum of 500. But each finish you have to do 72. So, like, if we do a liquid color, we have to do 72. A couple of years ago, we could do 36 autograph and 36 non-autograph of a liquid color, and it still met the 72. Now we have to do 72 of each SKU. Or, we can go under that. As long as we're still doing 72 liquid, we can do, like I've done some 12-piece runs, but there's a fee to do that.
Gotcha. Okay, that's cool. All right. Those are all the listener questions that I got. We'll wrap it up with this. Brent, have you been able to watch much racing since we've been back? What do you think of the season so far? Do you get into the trucks, Xfinity, Cup? What's your fancy?
Oh, I like it all. I think personally, probably the trucks are
my man
for me to watch.
Yes, sir.
Seems like those guys get after it a little bit.
Yes.
Plus, we've done a lot of trucks this year that we sponsored. And Ross and Moffat are two of our favorites, and we've been lucky enough to be on them. And then we met Majeski last year at Phoenix, and he was just awesome. I think we've been on 4 of his first 10 starts or something like that now. But those truck guys are more like a Saturday night racing group. They're down to earth. They're not as busy, so they're not being pulled like these Cup guys are in 50 different directions. And you meet one of them, if they don't have something pressing to do, they'll sit there and talk for 10 or 15 minutes.
Absolutely, yes, I agree with you 100% there, sir. Brent, tell everyone where they can follow Plan B Sales, social media, where they can order online, and anything else you want to talk about from business side of things.
Yeah, I think we're pretty much on everything. Grant, my social media guy, he does a great job with Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. I do a lot of the Facebook, help answer questions and stuff. I'm a night owl, so if you want an answer at 2 a.m., just ask us on Facebook. I'll probably answer you pretty quick. And then we got Steve Post. He does our Tuesday at 2 Facebook show, which we stream that to YouTube, Twitch, I think Instagram. I'm not sure. Everybody out in North Carolina takes care of all that stuff. But planbsales.com, and then we've got eBay. We do some discount stuff on there. We start everything out at $15. Just let it go.
That's very cool. See, that's a great way, I think, to promote and drive to that. That's very cool. I love that. Brent, man, this was so informative, man. I think we only scratched the surface, too, to be honest with you. I think we could pick, like, an individual, like, Diecast year, a driver, all that. We could probably talk for another 30 minutes on those different things alone. I'd love to get you back on sometime down the road, man. But Lab Traffic Nation, big thanks to Brent with PlanBSales.com for coming on tonight. Brent, enjoy the rest of the season, man. I hope sales and all that go well for you down the road, and look forward to talking with you soon, man.
All right, yeah, anytime. It was fun.
Appreciate you. Lap Traffic Nation, how cool was Brent? Man, I learned so much there, and who would have thought 30-minute diecast conversation. Man, that was so cool. Cannot wait to talk to him again. But right now, let's move forward here, and let's talk a little trucks from Kansas. So, trucks had their first doubleheader of the year this past weekend at Kansas with a night-day doubleheader. Austin Hill was finally able to close one out, dominated the race from start to finish Friday night, finishing second in Stage 1, winning Stage 2, and picking up the race win. He led for over 60 laps. He had a horrible week last week, and I expected him to rebound this week. And he did by picking up the win. And a lot of Lap Traffic fantasy players thought the same thing, and it paid off in the first truck race. Last week was really his first bad week all season. I believe he was top 10 every race going into last week and had those issues. I'm not sure if he wrecked out or what have you, but definitely did not have an Austin Hill-like finish. So great rebound for him and that team there. Bummer for Ross Chastain, though. Went from running both truck races to just running the Friday night race due to him competing in the Xfinity Series race on Saturday. It needed to be fresh for that race with all the heat, the physical strain one race can do to the body, let alone back-to-back in one day in those extreme temps. I don't blame them for taking him out of the second truck race. That said, the Friday night truck race started off really strong for him up front in the top 10 for both stages, but a brake issue taking him out of the race in segment 3, resulting in a 34th place finish. Good thing for him, though, he rebounded on Saturday in the Xfinity race. Another truck driver with a bad night Friday night was Tyler Ankrum. You know, he's on the brink there of possibly making the playoffs again this year. He got in last year with his win. And he's on that bubble right now. You know, he had a nice stretch of top 10s, top 15s going up until this past weekend. His only finish outside the top 15 was Daytona. He had a 7-race streak going to top 15s, which was awesome for that young driver in a new series. Unfortunately, though, he did not have the best luck at Kansas, finishing 33rd and 28th. And he'll have to wait to Michigan to be able to rebound from that. But I think the talk of the weekend had to be the second truck race. That thing became a cluster bleep there towards the end with cautions breeding cautions. Trucks fanning out 4 and 5 wide. That will happen. Austin Hill backed up his win from the night before with a 6th place finish. But talk of the day, obviously, has to go to Matt Crafton, who did the unthinkable last year, winning the championship without winning a race. In the era of scoring that we currently have, that is definitely not the norm. You typically are going to have to win a race to win a championship in any series, but Crafton proved everyone wrong last year, and he did just that. But Crafton finally snapped the 67-race winless streak that dated back to Eldora 2017, picked up the win, but it was not easy. Christian Eckes made sure he earned that win as the rookie gave Crafton fits for about the last 15 laps or so. It looked like there were going to be times that he was going to be able to make the pass, but he couldn't quite get close enough to that rear quarter panel and get the side drafted that he would have needed. So in the end, Matt Crafton takes home the checkered flag, which is absolutely awesome. Right now, I would say that I am stunned with Sauter and Friesen right now. They're currently on the outside looking in with just a handful of races left in the regular season for the truck guys. Unfortunately, trucks are off this coming weekend, but we'll be back in action at my home track, MIS, Friday night, August 7th. I'm going to say night because MIS does not have lights, as I know you all are aware of that already. But a little late start. They're going to try to get this thing in at, I think it's a 6 o'clock start for the truck series at MIS, which is pretty cool there. All right. Let's move along. Let's talk a little Xfinity series. All right. The Xfinity race. I'll admit, I did catch the tail end of this one. And this one was a little bit of a cluster bleep as well towards the end, which, hey, I mean, restarts are restarts at 1.5 mile and 2 mile tracks, right? Everyone is going to try to pick up those 3 to 4 spots on a restart, which causes some extra caution sometimes. Austin Cindric looked like he was going to pick up his 4th win in a row, but the final restart of the second overtime, Brandon Jones was able to go from 7th to the lead using the 2 overtime restarts to his advantage. Briscoe kissed the wall a little bit, taking him out of a contention for another one, which hurt myself and a few other lap traffic fantasy players this week as well. But the one thing I really want to talk about right now, and I feel like I need to talk about it, and that is the Xfinity Series point standings. Here we are, yet again, down the stretch of the regular season in the Xfinity Series. And yet again, we are probably going to be able to say with a lot of confidence that the point standings are what they are, and those in the top 12 are the ones that will make the playoffs, which is going to force me to go on a rant yet again. The truck series was perfect at 8 drivers. You guys know I'm not a fan of it going to 10 because, like I said a couple weeks ago, there's only about 13 to 15 teams that even make it to every truck series race. So they're basically handing out playoff spots in the truck series, which really annoys me. The Xfinity series, 12 guys make it. Right now, Clements is out in 13th and would have to make up 32 points on 12th place Brandon Brown. I just don't see that happening. I think I said almost word for word the exact thing last year. Now Clements, he's had a great year. We all remember when he won his way into the playoffs a few years back. And again, that's what it's going to take in the Xfinity series. Unless someone wins a road course down the stretch, the playoff grid for the Xfinity series is set way too early, in my opinion. It's a shame because there's not any excitement for the bubble drivers when we get down to the last handful of races in the regular season. Now, if there were only 10 that made it in the Xfinity Series, we would have that bubble competition. Riley Hurst in 10 has 410. Ryan Sieg in 11th has 408. So at least there would be something to talk about from a bubble driver perspective in the Xfinity Series. But the way that it is now, 12th, I just don't see that happening. And it's a shame to the series, in my opinion. But I digress. The Xfinity Series also off this week. They will be back the following week, though, at Road America for some road course racing, which is pretty cool. All right, let's talk a little Cup Series. The Thursday night race, which seems so long ago. How cool was that, though, to have some Thursday night Cup racing under the lights? And for no rubber on the track, no practice, these guys put on a show. Ample lead changes, decent amount of passing on restarts, right? I mean, that's where we get our passing at the 1.5 mile tracks. I get that. Had a few big ones as these guys were fighting for that valuable track position during the restarts. These guys fanned out 4 or 5 wide, no one wanting to give up, which is understandable. I do have to ask, though, if Ricky Stenhouse lost a bet. I mean, being a NASCAR driver will pull the ladies in on its own. But no way in hell that haircut is going to help. I mean, my wife hates when I walk out of the house in my Nike slides and white socks. I might get divorce paperwork. I came home with a haircut like that, 1990 7th grade school portrait pictures with those blue lasers behind the background there. I mean, that's all that screamed right there. That I got such a great laugh with that. That was hysterical. Rough day for a few guys out there, though. Go back to actual relevant content. Harvick started on the pole, dropped back on the first lap, and was stuck between 5th and 10th all day. Chase Elliott really could never crack the top 10. Kyle Busch had some issues late in the race. And I hate it for Matt D. You could tell his frustration during that post-rec interview. Hopefully they can rebound, get a couple of more top 10s here, and secure a playoff spot for the first time with that team. Cole Custer started 24th, though, worked his way up to the top 10. The 41 team carrying some momentum here late in the regular season after his win a couple weeks ago. And Denny Hamlin picks up win number 5 on the season with probably the most solid car out there all night, with the exception of Blaney. Those two probably had equal cars all night. The only difference, Hamlin's been able to close these things out and pick up the wins. I told you guys last week, don't be surprised if Austin Dillon falls out of the top 16, and it took all of 1 week. So now we've got 2 drivers with a win outside of the top 16. Right now it's Jones and Riddick who would be knocked out, which means with 7 races to go, you're going to have guys like Jones, Byron, Matty D, Boyer fighting for every spot and point they can get. And it wouldn't surprise me if someone else sneaks a win in there and really shakes things up even more. This week, Sunday, the lone race, which is surprising that with all the scheduling, all the doubles and all that kind of stuff, that we only got 1 race this week, and that's the Cup at New Hampshire. But New Hampshire's been a pretty solid race as of late. All right, the question for you guys this week: what is one thing in each of the 3 series that has surprised you so far? Jeff at JBev1789. In the Cup, it's the prevalence of the aero and the inability to pass, and just how bad the cars handle in dirty air. Seems worse than it's ever been. Jeff's Xfinity Series surprise is that there's only 2 Ford teams, yet by far they're the dominant manufacturer in the series. That's a great call there, sir. And Truck is Friesen and his struggles from a title contender a year ago. Great call there, Jeff. Really like that one. Let's see here. Eddie at Eddie_EG3. His Cup surprise, Eric Almirola's top 10 streak is still going. Xfinity Noah Gregson not making many friends on the racetrack. And in the Truck is Sheldon Creed starting to get more comfortable in the series, showing speed with 1 win. Absolutely love that there, Eddie. Jess at Iowa NASCAR fan surprises. Cup, Kyle Busch is winless. I think we're all stunned by that one. In the Xfinity Series is Austin Cindric's dominant as of late. And in the Truck is Sauter's early season struggles. Sauter is so struggling right now. Let's see here. Walk at ski_dubs Cup. How solid John Hunter Nemechek has been. Great call there. Xfinity Series is Austin Cindric being the absolute class of the field each week. And in truck, Stuart Friesen struggles. There is definitely a trend there. Everyone recognizing that Stuart Friesen is off to a very slow start here. And Seth at Sports Junkie 94 Cup, the slow and steady improvement of Team FRM. Xfinity, Ryan Sieg being a contender for top fives each week. And in the Truck Series, Sauter and Friesen still winless. Great call there, guys. My surprises are in the Cup that a rookie has a win and Kyle Busch is winless. Xfinity Series, my surprise is that Ross Chastain is winless. And obviously, I'm going to mirror you guys there with my truck surprise being Sauter and Friesen struggles. Those are awesome takes, guys. Really appreciate that. All right. That'll do it for the racing talk here. Let's do a little social media. Everybody, make sure you check out the website, thelaptrafficpodcast.com. Like on Facebook, The Lap Traffic Podcast, Instagram, The Lap Traffic Podcast, TikTok, Lap Traffic PC, YouTube, The Lap Traffic Podcast, and of course, on Twitter at Lap Traffic PC. Listen to the show on iTunes, Podbean. All you got to do is search the Lap Traffic Podcast or NASCAR, and you will find it. Getting so close, so close to the giveaway at 4,500 followers. Got a Lap Traffic t-shirt and a hat and some stickers and koozies I'll throw in there as well, which means we're even closer to the 5,000 follower giveaway, that rear quarter panel there, which I'm very excited to hopefully get that sent out before year end here. Some new follower shout outs, Daniel Richards at DetroitDan64. Always happy to have a fellow Metro Detroiter on board. Kendall at Nicholson Online, a marketing professional and NASCAR fan, and Joseph Shelton at IMJ Shelton, a writer and editor at Speedway Media. Great friends over there, including Briar Starr, who was on the show a couple weeks ago. Don't forget about the store on the website. Get your Lap Traffic t-shirts, hoodies, all that good stuff. And I keep getting a couple each week requests for stickers and koozies, which if you want one, I'll be happy to send them to you for free. Just go to the website, thelaptrafficpodcast.com, and fill out the contact page, and I will get one out to you. I haven't talked about Freddie the Pizza Man in a minute, but I'm going to real quick. As you guys know, Freddie the Pizza Man is a incredible human being. He has a lifelong, basically, pizza shop, which is right over in Melvindale by the Detroit Lions training facility. Freddie's son has autism, and Freddie has put together an awesome charity organization that helps put sensory rooms in Metro Detroit schools to help children with autism, which is just an incredible cause there. Freddie is having his 5th annual golf outing this weekend, which myself, Brad Yunker, my buddy Eric Zalen, we are all going to be going and golfing bright and early on Saturday morning, which I am very, very much looking forward to supporting that great cause there. So I'm sure there'll be some pictures and some stories next week. So if you feel like donating or anything like that, just go check out FreddieThePizzaman.com, and I can promise you it will go to great use to help the autism cause here in Metro Detroit. Okay. Let's keep things rolling here. Let's get Mr. Aaron Studwell on the line. All right, Lap Traffic Nation, joining me on the line. You can follow him on Twitter at RaceWeather, along with Brian Newdorf, keeping us up to date on all the weather happenings. Welcome back to the show, Mr. Aaron Studwell. Sir, good evening. How are you?
Good evening, sir. I'm doing well. And yourself?
I am excellent. Happy to have you back. Looking forward to talking with you. How was your weekend? Anything fun? How's consulting life? How was seeing your car sponsor on the track? All that good stuff.
We'll talk about the car sponsor on the track, and kudos to Go Fast. My gosh, they gave me, and I'm not complaining, and for an associate sponsor, a 3-race deal.
Yep.
They gave me a lot of promotion in their tweets and saying the Go Fast Trump 2020 at Exo Consulting Ford.
That's awesome, man.
They did a phenomenal job of that. I'm looking forward to being back on for both races at Daytona. The last 3 races and I'm not going to try and jinx it, but the last 3 races Corey LaJoie has run at Daytona on the super speedway. He's had top 10 finishes.
Yes.
So
yes, that's very cool. Did you pick up some new followers, I hope, from all that,
Yes, I did. Also picked up a little controversy because of the other sponsors on the car.
Fair enough. Yep. I could see that. Yep.
But, and it's not a stock response because this is really how I feel about it.
Yeah.
Is I'm there supporting the team. I'm there supporting the number 32, Corey LaJoie, and not worried about the other sponsors on the car.
Sure. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
I'm paying, it's a money game and they need, I'm paying my share
Yep.
to support and help the team move forward. And they finished 16th. I mean, there's a lot of conditions with that.
Sure.
There was a lot of things that happened at the end of that race, but
hey, it don't matter.
Top 20
score
finish,
sheet says 16th.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Bingo. And
Yeah.
as they stay there stacking pennies and just little victories and little accomplishments.
Absolutely. Well, that's very cool. Very happy that you're able to be a part of that, sir. That's very, very cool.
No, and well, thank you. And just it's good to be part of a little bit more of NASCAR Nation. This is my 18th season of forecasting for NASCAR, and just to have the opportunity to take bigger roles and to really integrate myself to the sport.
That's awesome. Very cool. Well, it's a lone race this weekend. Cup, New Hampshire only, Sunday. Before you tell us about the weather, you guys caught a break this past weekend with no interruption or threat, it looked like.
We had a threat Thursday. We had a storm form just like 2 miles north of Kansas Speedway.
Okay.
And I wasn't even really, I was kind of looking at the radar, kind of not, and hadn't looked at it in like 15 minutes. And I get a tweet from somebody who was at the track, and they're like, at Race Weather, look at this storm building up. I'm like, uh-oh, storm building up.
Oops.
Oops. Yeah. So then I'm on the phone with my contacts there and looking at this thing just blowing up on radar. And it sprinkled a little bit on turn 4 in that kind of northish end of the dog leg, but they never, it was never losing the track. It was just a little sprinkle. And then it moved off and dissipated. But yeah, that was a little bit, that's why I was kind of saying, look, I need to keep the chance of showers and thunderstorms. Even if they're really isolated, the odds of one developing right over the track are kind of low. But yeah, that was a little bit closer to comfort than, yeah.
Oh,
and
that's
luckily
funny.
no lightning.
Yes.
Because that would have impacted, could have impacted timing as well.
Absolutely.
So.
Absolutely. Well, how are we looking for this weekend's Cup race at New Hampshire?
Yeah, I had mentioned it before when we were kind of getting ready to talk. I'm like, just one race. Yep, just one race.
Yep.
A pretty strong low pressure center is going to be moving out of the Ohio Valley into the region. The forecast now is saying increasing clouds, high of 88, morning low of 64, and that's about 7 to 8 degrees above normal. There's a chance of showers that Sunday night, so the race will be done. But if we see that timing change, I may need to add rain chances later in the week. But as things stand right now, it's just increasing clouds, southerly winds, no interruptions. As things back to that, as things stand right now, we're good for a nice weekend of racing, and honestly, a 300-mile race or 301-mile race.
Yes, it'll be a quick one.
It will be a quick one, and you kind of watch a 400-mile race now, and I'm looking at my watch. I'm like, really?
Right. Yeah, no, this will speed by, and the nice thing is you're off the hook for being on the show next week and potentially not being able to give good news for MIS home track weather weekend. So Brian Newdorf is going to have to take that one and hopefully bring some good luck for MIS weekend next week.
Oh, I hope he does too.
Yes. All right, before I let you go, 2 things real quick. Number 1, I know you are a diehard fantasy baseball player. So a couple games in, how is the fantasy baseball looking?
1-0 in one league, 4th place in another, and I think part of the little bit of 4th place was I didn't realize it was daily transactions until about Sunday.
Ah, okay.
So
enough.
I'm used to going on a weekly schedule for Yahoo and CBS, and now it's a daily without game limits. I'm like, suddenly you're kind of shuffling all the time. But no, it's great having baseball back.
Absolutely.
The whole situation with Marlins is because the Orioles are really my home team, and then now they're in Miami. The Marlins are still in Philadelphia, I believe.
Yep.
And the Phillies are also quarantined and couldn't play last night, although I don't know what the situation is tonight for their game against the Yankees.
Canceled, I believe.
Okay, so
Yes.
that's consistent.
Yeah. No, that is crazy. I hope that doesn't impact the long-term things of this short 60-game season.
I'm afraid it's going to start thinking about impacting other sports where travel's involved.
Yeah.
Because you look at hockey, you look at basketball, they're playing, and I'm using air quotes here, they're playing in their bubble. But now you don't have the baseball players kind of, I'll use the term secured. You don't have them in an area. You've got them on planes. You've got them in cabs. They're going here. They're going there. And it just seems more susceptible. And if we try to do football that way, pro or college, it could be a bit of a mess.
Absolutely. No, I am with you there. We'll have to keep an eye on that. That'll provide us with some additional talking points here in the weeks to come. Lastly here, sir, Lapped Traffic Fantasy. You've been on a stretch here as of late. You're up 8-3 in the head-to-head. You've jumped up to 4th and even jumped me since I fell a little bit here in segment 2, and you're securely in the top 16 in the cumulative standings there, sir. So you've had a nice little rebound here.
Yeah, it just seems like last year I had the same thing too. I was so, and I'll give the excuse, not a reason. It's an excuse because last year I had struggled in segment 1 as well.
Yep.
This year, I think part of it was the PhD defense, and then last year
That'll
was the
happen.
classes, the PhD defense, the PhD, and then also the move,
Yes.
closing that office.
Yes. Yeah, that'll take some precedent, that's for sure.
Yes, it does.
Alrighty, sir. Well, it was great to catch up with you, Lap Traffic Nation. Make sure you follow Aaron on Twitter at RaceWeather, along with Brian Newdorf at NASCAR_WXMAN for updates throughout the rest of the week. Aaron, great to talk with you. We'll talk to you in a couple weeks, sir.
Always great to be back. Thank you.
Yep, we'll see ya. All right, Lap Traffic Nation, always great to catch up with Aaron. Now, it is time for this week's Lucky Dog Lap Down picks. You guys know the drill. It's time to see who guys voted. Lucky Dog Lap Down this week. And after race weekend, you can tweet your Lucky Dog Lap Down picks, and I'll read them. Or you can leave your message on the Wave Around Hotline, 248-965-9538. Leave your picks there, and I'll play them on the show as well. My lucky dog of the race weekend has to go to Matt Crafton. How does it not? Anytime you end a winless streak, get a lucky dog. Lap down. The schedule. How is it we only get one race this weekend? Come on, we're used to like 7. Let's get to your tweeted responses. Scott at 1985 Wagner's lucky dog for the Cup Thursday edition is Hamlin. Such a winless drought. Yeah, I hear you. Lap down is a tie with Priest, Busher, and Matty D. They need a break. Yes, they do. Scott's lucky dog truck addiction. Crafton. Go figure. I didn't pick him in fantasy. Yeah, me either. Lap down is Sauter. He needs a break. And Scott's Xfinity picks lucky dog Brandon Jones, amazing 2-lap run. Lap down Briscoe, so good until the end. My fantasy pick, of course. Yes, I'm with you. Side note, Menards winning sponsor on both cars that won on Saturday. That is pretty cool there, sir. Gina at Gina Loves JJ48 lucky dog. Wow, Denny is something else this season. Not particularly fond of him, but you have to admire his luck. 100%. Lap down, Cy, Team Chevy. Enough said. I hear your struggles there. CJ at CJ LaPearl's lucky dog. The 11 team, they seem to have it this year. Lap down is Chevy. Absolutely no power and no answer at the 1.5 mile tracks. Just at Iowa NASCAR fans, lucky dog Ryan Priest for walking away from that crash. Absolutely. A lap down, JTG seems to have fast cars, but terrible luck in 2020. Happy for Austin Hill, but holy hell on the caution consistency. Man, oh man, that is the lap down of the weekend. I hear ya. Rowdy at the Rowdy Dragons, lucky dog is Team Gibbs. The whole gang finally showed up for a race with a top 10 for all drivers. A lap down is the 21 at De Benedetto. wrong place, wrong time. Eddie at Eddie_EG3's a lucky dog. Brandon Jones got up on the wheel on that final restart of the Xfinity Series race, took the win away from Cindric and Seed, making it back-to-back wins at Kansas. Lap down JTG, either the 37 or the 47 cars have finished dead last, going on a streak of 4 straight races here. Let's see here. What else do we have? Fred at Large Car. Freddie, what's up, Freddie? Lucky dog. Freddie the Pizza Man lapped down nobody. Hell yeah. Love Freddie the Pizza Man getting a lap down, or a lucky dog vote. Jeff at JBev1789's lucky dog going with Byron this week. No Chad Canals does what they need with a top 10 in the playoffs right now. Lap down Blaney. They have so much speed, but just can't put it together. If they do, watch out. Yes. Blaney gets on a tear, things are going to get interesting. And Alice at Mad Ann Flint Lucky Dog. Did you say Lucky Dog? Bandit gets the front row seating for every race. That's her dog, which is adorable. Ann was pulling for KB all night, as always. Happy with the JGR win. All right, that's the tweeted responses. Let's get to your calls on the Wave Around hotline.
Hi, Brandon. It's Matt at Camper News Net. Absolutely, I thought with the Cup race tonight at Kansas, especially, at the end between Denny Hamlin and Brad Keselowski at the end, it was absolutely a great battle for the win. And congratulations to Denny Hamlin. Denny Hamlin has absolutely been, I believe, dominant this year so far, and I honestly think he is definitely a favorite at this point to potentially get his first NASCAR Cup Series championship this season. Absolutely incredible what Denny has done this year so far. So anyway, my lucky dog this week is going to go, believe it or not, to Ryan Preece. That accident, in the, I believe it was the second, I think it was the final stage, actually. Absolutely remarkable, that crash, and seeing him walk away, absolutely, when I saw that crash, I was like, I hope he's okay, and I'm so glad to see he was able to walk away from that. And, the safety has come so far over the years, and it always reminds us of what, these crashes happened. And obviously kudos to NASCAR for what they have done with the safety improvements. And I don't have any lap downs this week. So anyway, enjoy your week, Brandon, as always, Lap Traffic Nation. And I'll talk to you next weekend after the race at New Hampshire. Thank you so much, Brandon. Take care. Bye.
Hey, Matt, thank you so much for calling in this week. Appreciate it as always. I want to touch on, Denny Hamlin there. Is he a favorite? I don't see how he isn't a favorite. If at this point he ain't in your Final Four, you'd really have to come at me strong to explain why Denny Hamlin would not be in your Final Four at the moment. Obviously, things can change down the road, but with the momentum that team has had post-pandemic, Denny Hamlin should be in your Final Four. All right, one more for you guys tonight. You know who it is. It's the voice of the Wave Around Hotline.
What's going on, Live Traffic? Voice of the Wave Around Hotline. The 20% at Racing Kansas, calling in Hot Takes Kansas edition. Quick disclaimer, I watched maybe half the race and not the finish, so I won't really comment on the actual race itself other than kind of what I saw in the finishing order. I was watching the Yankee game, so my lucky dog is Garrett Cole. Getting a 5-inning complete game thanks to the rain. Of course, it rains in baseball, it rains in NASCAR. It's going to rain every outdoor sport. Is going to rain in. That's that. Very, very interesting to see the way the playoff, the bubble, or cut line, as we'll call it, is shaping out. I don't think we've seen really since the implementation of stage racing. The playoff race get this close. I think the stages have really spread things out with points where this hasn't been a storyline. But it's going to be a dogfight between Byron and Jimmy Johnson and Eric Jones and Tyler Reddick. I think all four of those drivers can win a race, and that would shake something up even more. We got the Daytona Road Course coming up. Who knows who's going to win that race? That could be anybody. Then you got the Daytona Oval, which, maybe Ricky Stenhouse goes out and gets a win, or maybe Bubba Wallace, or, maybe the whole field crashes and one of the buttholes even bourbon pack comes back. And we just don't know. So this playoff cup line is really going to make for some interesting, storylines coming up here. We go to New Hampshire next week, which I'm looking forward to. I think the past couple of years, ever since New Hampshire has gone to a single race, I think the racing's improved there quite a bit. And I think the PJ1 has helped that track. It's one of the few tracks that has helped. So I'm looking forward to it. And we got, the low downforce package. I think it's going to be really good. Next week in New Hampshire, I'm looking forward to getting off of the flat car tracks for a week, and then we're back to it at Michigan. Yay. Love slot cars, and that's about it, man. Hope everyone else enjoyed the race. Go Yankees, and hopefully your teams win on opening day, unless you're an Astros fan.
All right, Mr. Andrew Kansas, so much to touch upon there, and I'm going to go backwards here because the Tigers lost opening day. They got annihilated for their home opener against Kansas City. I think it was 12-6, and they were winning that game 5-1, I believe. So, yeah. Now, the Tigers did win the Red Series, which was stunning right there. But I'm not going to say go Yanks, but I hope your Yanks do well this year, Mr. Andrew Canson. Working backwards from there, you nailed it as far as the playoffs, and it's never too early to talk playoffs because I'm even going to throw someone else in the mix that's going to two other drivers that are going to have to potentially battle it out. They're sitting 12th, 13th. That's Clint Boyer, Matt DiBenedetto, because like you said, any one of these other guys could potentially steal a win, maybe at the Daytona Roval or Daytona itself. And now with Dillon and Custer outside, now we're talking a cut line at 14 and 13. So that definitely throws Byron DiBenedetto, Clint Boyer in the mix there. Alex Bowman's got his win. Now we're talking Kurt Busch in 10th if things really do get crazy. 19 races in, and we have, let's see here, 9 different winners. That's kind of high, and then you throw in the fact that 2 of those are outside of the top 16. That, like you said, it makes for things very interesting down the stretch here, which I am very excited about. All right, that is going to do it for this week's Lucky Dog Lap Down Picks. Cannot wait for your takes next week out of New Hampshire. All right, it is time to close this thing out with a little lap traffic fantasy. Make sure you get your picks in by Friday midnight this week. Keep the Twitter interaction going. Let's see here. 7 cup races to go over the span of the next 5 weeks to decide who makes the lap traffic playoffs. A handful of players with Denny Hamlin this week, a couple with Brandon Jones. Austin Hill got some love as well, and even one guy by the name of Robert Riggs, who you're going to hear about in just a minute and hear in just a minute, swept the Truck Series as well. Week high was Robert Riggs with an incredible 213 points. He had Hill, Crafton, along with Cindric and Almirola, and we'll have him on in just a minute. Second week high was Brad Carnes with 191. My picks, I had Hill and Rhodes, Briscoe and Elliott, 144. Man, I struggled this week, and needless to say, it was not enough to stay in first place. Over to the top 10 in segment 2. In first, new leader is Kim James with 687. Robert Riggs, 1 point back, 686. Brad Carnes, 679. Aaron Studwell up to 4th with 663. And I went from first to 5th, 660. Me. My uncle, 10 points behind me in 6th. Jess Rose in 7th, along with John King. Andrew Cansian up to 8th. Pete Curvin in 9th, and Eric Zalen in the top 10. Over to the cumulative standings. Jess Rose still holding on to that first place lead. Joe Hewson in 2nd with 1740. Andrew Cansian up to 3rd. Richard Cravens in 4th. Chad Robin 5th. Kent Dolphy 6th. Matt Crowd 7th. Matt Camper 8th. David James 9th. Toby Christie 10th. Aaron Studwell 11th. Mick Rose in 12th. Robert Riggs 13th. Brian Hall 14th. Kim James 15th. Crystal Smoke smokes, 16th. Yes, I've even fallen out of the top 16. I am on the bubble. 2 points out of 16th. I am in 17th. I cannot believe how bad this week has been. But I really think things are going to get shaken up this week because there's just the Cup race. People might be saving some drivers still and all that good stuff. So we will see what happens. So let's get to this week's picks. All right, Lap Traffic Nation, joining me on the line. He is this week's week high with an astounding 213 points, which is obviously a new record for the Lap Traffic Fantasy week high. Now, obviously, that attributes to the double, but hell, it's still an accomplishment. Welcome to the Lap Traffic Podcast, Robert Riggs. Robert, what's up, man? How are you?
Man, doing good. How about yourself?
I am awesome. Excited to do a little fantasy here. You've been week high quite a few times this year already, but this is the first time we were able to sync things up here and get you on, so I'm excited to have you on. You obviously are adapting very well to the Lap Traffic Fantasy format, eh?
Yes, sir. That's correct. Yes. I think it's my third week this year. The first week I missed out. I was offshore overseas. Had my cousin call in for me, and last week I know we had a very important crowd there, so I missed out on it. So I'm happy to be here this week.
Well, I am very happy to have you, man. You had some hell of a picks this past week. You doubled down and scored both truck wins with Hill and Crafton. I think you might have been the only person that took Matt Crafton, to be honest with you. And Cindric in second, and then in the Xfinity Series, and Almirola had a great week as well, man. So nice job with the picks. That's impressive there, sir.
Yeah, that's good. I picked Almirola there in the Cup. He's been hot here recently, running his mile and a half, and I had done used up Harvick and Truex that I wanted to use for this race. And since Almirola was hot and he's one of the mid-tier guys, I wanted to get him in. The only other two guys I had on my mind was Hamlin and Elliott, which Hamlin won it. So, I
should have flip-flopped because I had Almirola last week. He didn't do anything, and I took Chase Elliott this week. I wish I would have flip-flopped those two there.
Yeah,
that'll happen.
Then at Xfinity pick, I got Cindric, and at the last second, Jones come flying by him and won it there, or I would have had 3 wins this week.
Yeah, no, that's a hell of a series going on there, man. That's for sure.
Oh yeah.
So let's see here. What'd you think of the racing in general from this week at Kansas?
I was excited, man, to get 4 races there and 3 A's, I think it was, and it was pretty well. I know the trucks are doing a lot better now. They were wrecking on the first lap last several races, and
that Pocono race, man, that was crazy with those trucks.
That's right. In the first race, I think they only had 2 total wrecks out of the whole race on the trucks, and they did well.
I hear you. Well, man, listen, I asked the followers. I figured since I got you on, I'd get your take on this. What has surprised you in each of the 3 series so far this year? We're coming in the home stretch of the regular season in all 3. What has surprised you the most in all 3 series?
For the Cup, man, it's been Blaney. That guy's been lights out. I think he's kind of taking the place of Larson this year. He's been super, super fast. If he could just get up there and win some of these races, I know he's been up front quite a bit. He's probably my biggest surprise for the Cup. The Xfinity surprise, we got rid of a lot of rookies last year, and it looks like we got us a new big 3, maybe big 4 coming in this year with Cindric, Briscoe, and Gregson. They're putting on hell of a races for us. Then for the trucks, I'd have to say Zane Smith. Once again, he's kind of like Blaney to me. He's getting up front, but he's not finishing it, but he has a hell of a truck this year.
Absolutely. I'm with you there on all that. Just to go back to what you said with the big 3 for the Xfinity there, I wonder, and I would like to hope that if our final 4 in the Xfinity series is Cindric, Briscoe, Gregson, and then either Justin Haley or Ross Chastain from Colleague Racing, man, I think that would be an incredible show for the finale there going for that thing.
Yeah, I agree with you. They're all pretty aggressive racers, too, so I think we'll have a hell of a show there at the end of the year.
Absolutely. Well, sir, you ready to make some picks for this weekend?
Yes, sir. I'm ready to make my lone pick whenever you're ready.
All right, Lap Traffic Fantasy players, we are headed to the East Coast and going to New Hampshire, where Kevin Harvick has won the last 2 races and 3 of the last 5. Does he even things back up with Denny Hamlin and pick up win number 5 on the year? Speaking of Denny Hamlin, he picked up the summer win at New Hampshire back in 2017. And how can we not talk about Kyle Busch? In the last 8 trips, he's got 6 top 10s and 2 wins. And something a little different this week for you guys. I am going to give you a dark horse pick this week. He won the fall race in 2015, the summer race in 2016. He's got a few top 10s in there. Dark horse pick, Matt Kenseth. Wouldn't that be something this weekend if he could get it done? Who takes home the lobster? Who gets the checkered flag? We'll find out Sunday. But first, it is time for our picks. Sir Robert, the lone pick, the only race this week, the Cup Series. Who do you have, sir?
I am going to go with Chase Elliott.
Chase
I know it may be a surprise for some of the people out there, but looking at his short track history this year, the dude has ran pretty well, pretty fast, and with the 750 horsepower. And I think he gets it done this week. He's been probably the top 2 car in the short tracks this year. And that's who I'm going with, Chase Elliott.
I love it. I'm going with the guy who was your surprise in the Cup Series. I am going with Mr. Ryan Blaney. He's done well. He's got a couple top 10s as of late going to New Hampshire. So I'm hoping to rebound and maybe get back to first place here in the standings with Ryan Blaney this week. Sir, it was great to talk to you. Something tells me we'll probably talk again before this thing is done. Good luck the rest of the season. Great to talk to you, and we'll catch you soon, man.
Man, thanks for having me on the show.
Of course, brother. All right, Lap Traffic Nation, that is going to do it for episode 193 of the Lap Traffic Podcast. Make sure you check out the website, thelaptrafficpodcast.com. Like on Facebook, The Lap Traffic Podcast. Follow on Twitter, @LapTrafficPC. Subscribe, download iTunes, Podbean. Leave some comments, all that good stuff. Huge thanks to Brent from Plan B Sales, Aaron Studwell, and Robert Riggs for calling in tonight. A big show lined up over the next couple weeks to kick off MIS week. Jeff Striegel will be on for back-to-back weeks, and also next week, very excited, Chris Buescher is going to be on as well. Don't get caught chasing the lucky dog. Make sure you tune in each and every week to the Lap Traffic Podcast. See ya!